All right, we are on. Good morning. I'm so excited to all our viewers out there today. I am joined by Shannon Buth from House of Shan, Shan meaning Shannon. And she is an entrepreneur who has an amazing line of honestly this beautiful and perfect heart. And I was drawn to her and introduced slightly by Christine Gardner, but actually, moreover, because I was just drawn to her and her personality through Instagram. So it is the power of social media. I know many people like to say all the negatives, but the positives have really been through this pandemic. I've met so many amazing women who are doing great things across our nation and our world. So this is the Opportunity Knocks segment. And what is Opportunity Knocks? Is every week we interview a different female entrepreneur who has different facets and skill sets, right? And why did we do it? We did it because we wanted to provide you hope that there are opportunities out there. How do we make them? How do we take them? How do we create them? And how do we evaluate them? The reality is, each person does it differently. It might sound the same, but really the tactics are different because we are unique beings, right? So, first and foremost, I want to introduce Shannon, but I also want her to first kind of have her take us through her background. She has a history in fashion, but honestly, if you see all the amazing gifts she has on her site, I can never decide how many to buy. And in addition, and which one I want, because I pretty much want everything. And I mean, I'm wearing her sweatshirt right now. How adorable is that heart? Everybody knows that love is one of my values. So that is one thing. And I'm also wearing her amazing bracelet that says, live what you love. And we have a funny story about that, but we'll get into that later. So go ahead. You probably are even not even aware of it because we exchanged some text messages, but it was probably so fast that it kind of went through it. So I'm going to bring it up. But
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
can't wait because I'm trying to think. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I
you're
love
like, which
that.
one was it? No,
Yeah.
all
No,
right.
but
So
yeah, exactly. Well, that's what and it's true. I say that all the time too, that I know social media gets a bad rap for so many things, but I have developed so many friendships and have met so many incredible people because of social media. So, and truly, I've launched my business through social media too. So I feel like it's been, for me, it's been such a positive experience.
absolutely.
Just having this platform, especially this year when it's been, so crazy for so many reasons. And like, it's just funny right now. I have a hat on. I have my hat
I
on
love
because
your hat.
I have not washed my hair. And my four boys are upstairs doing remote learning. So I was like, you have to be quiet because I'm on a Zoom call. No
Yeah,
yelling. It feels like it always sounds like elephants on top of my office. So
so
I'm in my
funny.
basement in my office. So yeah, so I really appreciate you having me here today. I love
I'm
what you're
grateful for
doing.
you. So
Oh, and I love what you're all about. And this is my jam. This is what
mhm.
I love. So um yeah, so just to tell you a little bit about me, I worked in fashion my whole life. I've always loved fashion. My mom used to say that I would set out my outfits before school, and she'd always take me to like, TJ Maxx to do my shopping when we were little. And I like love just picking out outfits and all of that. So like it's kind of been in my blood since I've been a little girl. Um, and after I graduated, I worked for a multi-line showroom for years in Chicago, and it was so much fun. I got to go to New York for the different fashion shows, and but there was also like the grit and grind behind it. It was a lot of work, and I would travel the Midwest, and I sold a clothing line called Three Dots. It's this
Oh,
American
mhm.
made clothing line. It's all really awesome made t-shirts and things like that. So I did that for several
High
years.
quality.
Yeah, high quality,
Yeah,
exactly.
very.
Which is
Yeah,
important,
yeah, totally.
so I did that for a number of years, and I met so many incredible people through that too. But I got burnt out, and my husband and I wanted to start a family, and we were having trouble getting pregnant. And I was gone all the time. So I was like, you know what? I feel like now I need to get a job where I can be in Chicago and just kind of like stay put and not be traveling all the time. So I worked for Trunk Club, which was a startup at the time. Now Trunk Club is huge. I was the first stylist at Trunk Club. Believe it or not, it was me and five guys. So it was like really cool to be a part of that startup, and just kind of the day to day with everything that goes behind it.
And
But
probably actually nice to be the only woman, to be honest with
what's
you.
that?
it's probably also nice to be the only woman in some ways. Yeah, I mean, there's pros
Yeah,
and cons, but like,
right.
you have
Yeah,
a
it
different
was it
voice.
and they definitely they made it work for me. Like I had my first son when I was working there, and they gave me a little nursing room, even though it was, myself and just, the guys that were working there. And so like it was interesting. And I loved kind of being a part of that atmosphere and watching it grow. But then shortly after we had my son, 19 months later, I had twins. So when I
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah, so I had twin boys. So it was like I had triplets basically. So that's when I decided to stay at home. Um, and that's a difficult decision, I think, for women, because you feel like you're kind of torn. Like you want to be doing all the things for your career, but at the same time you have this instinct that's like, I just want to be home with my babies. So I had the luxury of being able to stay home.
Mhm.
Um,
I also
but it
think
was
it's
also,
not to interrupt you, but I
oh no,
actually also think, because there's it is a big issue right now with COVID, that a lot of women are being forced to quit their jobs because they need to be with their children. Yet another time in life where women are being forced to make these choices, right?
right,
But I think part of it is a financial choice. Like, unless your husband, sometimes it's like, yes, I have the same thing. I have the luxury that I could stay home. However, some of these people, it's like, well, can I pay for childcare? Like, how am I going
right,
to, you know,
right. I know. And it's like you have to weigh all those things. And at the end of the day, like for us, it made sense for me to stay home. And it was kind of like, I was like, I had three babies,
I can't even
19 months
imagine.
apart. It was just
Yeah.
like crazy. So I still say I hardly remember that time in our lives. But point being, when my babies were little, my twins were 5 months old, I kind of reignited this moms group called 24/7 Moms.
Mm,
And for me, it was just like this like saving grace in my life, because I feel like I needed a community of women, and I needed to be surrounded by women that could kind of lift me up and help me through this time. And I feel like, early motherhood, it can be kind of isolating too in a lot of ways, because you're trying to figure things out. You don't really know what you're doing, and you just need people to be like, this isn't working. How can I, what can I do
yes.
to like make nursing better or sleep and all the things. So um
Or just to be heard.
or just to be like around other
Yeah,
women. Yeah, and just
absolutely.
to feel like a person again, kind of,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So for sure. So basically the idea of this moms group wasn't a mom and tots group. It was more of a go out, have a night out, be heard, be with other women. And I'd have speakers come in and kind of talk about relevant mom topics, and we'd have wine and dinner. And it
That's
kind
how
of
my
grew throughout
original
the year.
women's group started.
What's that?
That's how my original women's group started.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love it.
We should talk about that separately. Anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean, it's this, we have these needs as people to, um
Right.
just be heard. So
Mhm.
I always say, like, so I've had this group for almost 9 years now, and it's growing, and there's probably 250 women on the email list. And it's a great, obviously this year it's looked a little bit different, but it's been a great resource for all of us. And I always say, I think we learn more from each other than even the speakers, because
Yeah.
just being able to talk and kind of have a safe space to be with other women. So that is, so to bring it full circle, that is kind of where this whole idea of this began, because uh, in 2000 beginning of 2019, I decided to start a blog, and I kind of wanted to marry all these topics. I love fashion, but I also, have these speakers come in and talk about amazing things, and I wanted to kind of put it all out there in one space. So I started House of Shan,
Mhm.
and the imperfect heart was my logo, or is
Mhm.
my logo. And the idea is that nobody's perfect, and obviously, like we were saying, like,
Amen.
yeah, social media and all of that can give us this, taste that we're supposed to be a certain way and all that, but like we're all just doing the best we can, right? So that at the core is what this imperfect heart means. And so every year for my mom's group, I do a mistletoe market at the end of the year, and it's a holiday party, and it's a way for women that have small businesses to kind of showcase if they sell something, if they make something. And last year, I decided
I
I
love
had,
that.
I had this idea for an imperfect heart
Mm,
sweatshirt.
mhm.
And we were giving back to this women's shelter in our community that serves victims of domestic violence. And I was like, well, what if I made this sweatshirt, this heart logo, stitched it on a sweatshirt, and then gave some of the proceeds to this women's shelter that we were working with. And so I was really like timid about it. And I had them made. I talked to my brother-in-law about it because he's in design, and he kind of gave me the push I needed.
Mhm.
And I put them in a corner of this mistletoe market. I didn't even really tell anybody what I was doing. And then my friends were like, well, what is this? Show it to us. And they all sold to my friends because they were nice and they all bought them.
No,
And then I
it's also
decided,
that they were like, "That's cool," and Shannon did it. I'm in.
yeah, well, it was really cool, like the way it happened. And again, it happened super organically. There was no business plan. It wasn't it wasn't like this big idea I had. It was more about like, I want to do this because of the meaning behind it. So
I hear
I
the
started
word like
making,
passion, like I was
yeah,
following something, purpose and passion. It was like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so, and I sat down and I wrote a card and what I wanted it to mean. And let's see if I have it memorized because I don't have it in front of me, but it's an imperfect heart stitched over your heart as a daily reminder to live your passion, laugh every day, love deeply, lift others up, and never quit your daydream.
Mhm.
And I sat down and I wrote that, and I didn't change a thing. And that was it. That's what I wanted it
That's
to mean.
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's the Live What You Love sweatshirt, and there's a whole story for me behind that too, and I want to hear our story behind it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of how this whole idea was born, and then that's this year it's grown in so many ways that I never would have dreamed, and it's been such a beautiful thing because so many people have worn this heart, and it's represented people that are supporting friends going through cancer treatments,
Mhm.
people sending them to loved ones who have lost somebody or celebrating something. So it's just a really cool symbol of love.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what it's all about.
So would you say to yourself that, really at the core of who you are is just love? Like, is love one of your top values?
I mean, absolutely. I would say yes. Yes. I mean, I'm all about that's what I'm all about. I tell people I love them. I mean, it's actually kind of, I feel like some people get kind of uncomfortable.
Mm,
Oh, okay. Sorry, just one
it's okay,
second.
don't worry.
Can you tell Taylor? Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's real life. This is our real life, right? Like,
I'm so sorry.
no,
Yeah,
it's like I'm
exactly.
listening to the door opening, there's somebody coming. I mean, but listen, we're both mothers and we're working from
Exactly.
home in a pandemic. So
Exactly. So no, but it's funny. Like I tell everybody I love them. And I mean it. It's not like, oh, I love you, but I do. I tell my dry cleaner I love her because I do love her. You know what I mean? It's just like I feel love and I just want to share it with people. So yes, I would say that is one of my core values.
yeah, it's interesting because for me, when I have witnessed you, and I talked a little bit about this before we got on the call, but I see you. It's like there's this your aura and your essence is love, right? So
Mhm.
you're so on point with your brand that you can't be anything less than successful because people want to be a part of you. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's like,
That's so
I
good.
mean, friends, this is our first time talking on the phone, or
Yeah.
talking on Zoom. And you don't always know if you're going to get the same person, right?
Totally. Totally. Yep. I know exactly what you're saying. Yep.
But I really felt like I knew you before we got on the call.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
it's
almost
funny. I
like
felt
I've
so,
been in your group or something.
yeah.
You know,
Well, it's so funny because I feel the same about you and I feel super comfortable. And it's like, we didn't talk about anything we were going to, sometimes in these situations, you kind of go over things. And I was like, no, we'll just talk. We'll just have a
exactly,
conversation. Yeah.
exactly.
So
Well,
that's why you're doing the right thing too, because you make people feel so comfortable and, it's just
um,
easy.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely, well, I think I resonate with your mission because love is one of my values, right? And I think that when I saw what you were doing, I was like, wow, this is really great. Like I want to be a part of this. I want to see this woman get big, like,
Aw.
like it just resonated with me so highly, like that I couldn't do anything but want to be attracted to what you were doing. And then, by the way, all your styles are super cute, so like because I love to shop. um, but my question for you is, I want to kind of tap a little bit into, when you're talking about not having a business plan. So really, not ever reading your bio thoroughly and knowing how many business plans you've written or marketing plans or all those
Right.
different things. But really, this is where a lot of women get caught up in the perfection of it. And so that's why I love this whole idea of this imperfect heart, and that we're basically saying it doesn't have to be perfect. And the funny thing is, similar to me, I know how to write a business plan. I don't I didn't want it to be about that. Like, we've lived that life, or I've lived that life, and I think you have too, that it was more about the organic approach of rolling out something that you knew meant something.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that. And as you've gotten busier and busier, do you feel the necessity, or like, shine the light on that opportunity?
Yeah, and well, that's just it. Like, I feel like I've said that I think this Live What You Love collection has resonated and worked and spread with people because it has happened organically, and it wasn't about some big business plan. Okay, it's going to launch now and this is what it's going to look like and it has to be this and this and this. There's no like has to be anything. It's more about this message. And I think people can get stuck on, like, I've seen it with friends that have small businesses, and they're like, with Instagram and stuff, it's like, oh, they want whatever they're saying in the caption to sound perfect and all that too. And it's like, just write it and
Just
have
put
it
it
be
out.
from your heart. Yeah,
Mhm,
just put it out there. You don't have to think so much about it, and like, just write from your heart and then hit post and be done with it, right? Like,
mhm.
I think people get stuck on the day-to-day thing so much. And I mean, and I do too on certain things, but at some point you just have to like make a decision and go with it, right? Like, especially for a small business. So yeah, I mean, and obviously now that I am getting busier, and um sales are, it's been great, it's growing and all of that, and there's planning that has to take place. And I'm the one that packs the orders. It's a one man show over here, I mean, I will say, but my husband has been super supportive, and it's been so cool to have him as a part of this with me. And he's had one job his entire life. He's a trader, and
Mm,
he uses one side of his brain. So
mhm.
for him, it's been really cool to like kind of do this together, and for him to be able to get creative too, and to help me because I need the help. So
Exactly.
his support has meant so much to me because I physically couldn't do it without him. I mean, he's making dinner while I'm down here doing work, or, like, it's just, it's a balance. So I think, um, for me, it's been about, having that support, and then also just like, what feels right in your gut and just going for it. So,
Mhm. So, which I totally agree with you. So which is really like tapping into your intuition, and really just, and knowing in your heart. There's a knowing. I feel like there's always a knowing of, but that comes from your confidence also, or
mm,
being guided, right? Whether
mhm,
that be the universe, God, whoever it might be, your faith, hope.
right.
But there's usually an inner knowing for most women who manifest. And you said something earlier when you were introducing yourself about being a connector. So I'd love to hear a little bit about, was that something that was always a part of you when you were younger? Do you feel that, because connection is not only just a physical connection, is an opportunity to expand our networks and meet more people, and and expand whatever growth it is that we're looking for. So tell me a little bit about that and how that kind of plays into your life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is one of my, when people say like, what are your outlets? What's your self-care look like? That is truly part of my self-care, is
Mhm.
connecting with friends. And those connections mean so much to me. And I talk a lot about, um, I talk about this collection being kind of a love letter to my mom's life.
Mm,
My mom and I were super close, and she died in 2015. And I always said after she died that I was going to live each day with purpose. Um, and I miss our connection so much, but I've had friends that have kind of come in and filled that connection for me in so many different ways. So I feel like those connections are just part of what like makes me thrive, and part of what keeps me going. I can have a bad day and know I can call a friend, and just kind of get what you need inside to be like, okay, it's okay, let's move on.
Mhm.
um so it's a big part of me. And so like obviously this pandemic, people are like, oh, I'm an extrovert, but like you can still get those connections from this from I mean, we've kind of
That's
just been
right.
able to be like, okay, look, we need to roll with this. Now we're going to do Zoom calls and we're going to talk on the phone more and things like that. So that's been kind of like the beautiful part of this pandemic, writing letters to people. Like when I send out each package, I do a handwritten note, and a lot of people that send them as gifts, they write the most beautiful notes to people. And it's like, I feel like that, that sort of connection is coming back too with this pandemic.
Mhm.
So, um, but no, to answer your question, I feel like it's a big part of my day to day. And I don't, I would love to say I get up and I meditate, but I always have like a little 4-year-old in my face every morning asking
Hey,
for
mom.
milk or whatever.
Like a dog. It's like a puppy,
Yeah.
you know?
But I love to work out. I love to go outside and go for a walk and listen to a podcast. And I love connecting with friends. Those are the things that kind of, keep me going. So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because the more that I listen to you, the more I realize how alike we are, and I
yeah.
wouldn't have necessarily thought that. I mean, I would have thought we were alike, but I would have never, like, when you talk about certain things, like when you're talking about your mom, for example. My mom died last year, November 17th, so it's been a
Mhm.
year, and I remember one of my impetuses for really kicking Empower off the ground, because I had been doing coaching for so long, was really about like never leaving something on the table and regretting that I didn't step in or move forward. And I feel like our mothers play such an important role in our lives, as far as like modeling the behavior, for good or bad, for how we
Right.
parent, but also how we show up as leaders. And I really respect that. One of the reasons why you coined this phrase was really for your mom. I didn't know that, and that is just really beautiful.
Yeah. So the story, and I want to hear the story, the live what you love, because
Yeah, I'll tell you.
yeah. So when my mom was really sick, I can never really tell the story without crying, but when my mom was really
Okay, you're
sick,
allowed to cry. This is
um
sacred space.
yeah. Yeah, no, I love telling this story because it's a big part of it. So when my mom was very sick, we knew it was she had an aggressive form of intestinal cancer, and
Oh,
we
wow.
knew she didn't have long to live. And it was March of 2015, and she came to visit. And I actually wanted to have my mom's group over because I just wanted all my friends to be around my mom. I can't explain it, but like she was coming for a week, and she was open to that, and she wanted to see everyone too. So before everyone came over, one of my dear friends stopped over beforehand, and she gave my mom and I each these little bags, and we waited till after everyone left and opened them. But they were bracelets, and it said "Live what you love" on both of them. And
Wow.
yeah, and I can't tell you how much those words just resonated with me. I'm like, live what you love. It's four words, but it means so much. It's everything. It's like live what you love. Like we should all be living what we love every day, because as hard as that is some days, like you never know what day is going to be your last, right? You never know. And so my mom ended up passing away a month later, and those words and that bracelet just always stayed with me. And that's why I named it the Live What You Love collection, because it just stuck with me.
Mm.
So yeah, so that is why um it's called that.
It's interesting because for me, like, I mean, I think live what you love is, sometimes, I'm a marketer, right? So, we always count like the number of words and how's that going to fit and does it seem too long and all those things. And
Yeah.
again, going back to really, what do you feel?
Mm,
What, like, because you could say live on purpose, right? But live what you love actually is more. And it really encapsulates the emotion of purpose, right? And I, for me, when I hear you talk about it, and that was one of the reasons why I was attracted to it, because, when I left the corporate world and became a coach, it was such a huge transition in my life. And people constantly think, oh, well, you were always this positive and you were always, able to manifest what you thought and this and that. And I was like, no, I used to live in so much fear, and I used to be, I was never like a complete rule follower, but I was very like the perfect, candidate to
Right.
be like your employee, right?
Right.
Worked hard, determined, all of that. And those qualities are still there. But really, living your life for what you love is an integrity for yourself. It is self-care. And
Mhm.
that is actually for me what really hit me about the coined phrase, right? Was
Yeah.
that I vowed when I left the corporate world, I would never be out of aligned like that again. Like
Hmm.
living for someone else's values,
Right.
not my
Like
own.
living what you love. Living what you
Exactly.
love. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so often people do things out of obligation. They live out of obligation for their friends or to be liked or to
Mhm.
please or whatever, all the different reasons why. And, you know, it's so hard to live within your own integrity and your own value set every day. And that's why this line is not just a line, it's a line that is like your motto to live by every day.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. And I need it to hit my skin. Like
Mm,
I need to look at that every day and be reminded that that is what life is about.
totally.
Like all
Totally.
our businesses can exist, but if we're out of alignment to the point where you get sick, you know,
Yeah.
we welcome a disease in because we are out of alignment, then what is life worth living?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of part of my whole, I feel like I turned 40, I lost my mom, I turned 40, all these things, like they all kind of just made me wake up and say like, I gotta live for,
WTF. No, just kidding.
yeah. Yeah. What'd you say?
I said WTF.
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of a wake up call. And it's so true. It's like live your passion, not someone else's passion,
Totally.
all those things that, you know,
And that's where the business plan comes in. That
yeah.
bugs the shit out of me. It's like, look, I'm around so many people. I used to work at business schools, but it's like, I know a business plan has a purpose, and it's right, but it's also like, but are you doing it for the business plan? Like, is it
Right.
all about the alignment of the business plan and your financials? You know,
Right.
or
Right. Well,
or do you believe in the attraction that based upon the fact that you are delivering something good that it is coming?
yes. And that's just it, and people have started to ask me like, well, where do you see this company in this, in this time next year? Where do you see this company in 5 years? And I'm like, it's truly not really about that. It really
Mhm.
isn't. I mean, yes, I want it to keep growing and I want the love to keep spreading and I want to keep, and I love fashion and I want to keep making different things and, different hats and accessories and all that. Yes, of course. And of course there's some plan to that there's an element to that, but it's not really about like I want to be here financially in a year. It's not. And
Mhm.
it never has been. And a lot of it is about giving back and like that, and it's about giving back to women's charities. And that has been so fulfilling to me.
I can imagine. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and so this year, I mean, I was, I've set some goals. Like I guess that's part of a
Yeah,
business.
of
I'll be
course.
like, okay, I want to have this many orders by the end of the year, and I've blown that away, which has been incredible. But it's also because with each order, I give $5 to whatever charity we're giving to, and right now we're giving to the House of Good Shepherd, which is this women's shelter.
Mm.
And that's who I started with last year when I started it at the mistletoe market last year. So every November and December, my plan is to give back to House of Good Shepherd, an amazing organization in Chicago that serves victims of domestic violence. And they have a program that once you're there, you have to enter it because it helps in healing and it helps you to be able to start to
Yeah.
move forward. Um, and they also have each family gets their own apartment there. So it's not a traditional shelter where it's a shared space. Everyone has their own space. So there's so many things about it that I love. Um, And so my plan is for every year to give back to them and
I
in
love that.
November, December. Yeah. So,
Beautiful.
and anyway, so this year we've raised over $20,000 for women's charities.
Wow, that's amazing, Shannon.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah. And I never would have dreamed that when I came up with this little idea last year at this time. So it's
And
been
all
really
you can do is
fulfilling.
keep going forward,
Totally.
like, keep doing amazing things and being aligned with what you want. So, um,
And to always remember that, right?
yes.
To keep that in the forefront and not let other stuff get in the way. Like that needs to be at the forefront of what I'm doing. So
Yeah, I always, well, I mean, I think it starts with like when you started it, you were in alignment with what the mission was,
yeah,
and in alignment with the words. You didn't just write words, but you said you wrote it and you just like, that was it. You knew
that was
and you walked
yep.
away. So the nice part for you is you're really clear. Like I really hear that and I see that and you're clear. And like when you're saying like people are asking you where you're going with it, you're basically like, I'm here today. You know,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
focusing on the present and I'm
right.
not projecting. It's not about that. And it's not about what you want me to do with it or what you think needs to happen. It's about where I want to be in my own.
That's right.
And
That's
the
right.
other thing I hear is that your husband is extremely supportive of this process, which is
Yeah,
beautiful considering he's a trader.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
um,
and I think, and honestly, like he calls me. He's like, I'm your stock boy. I'm your stock boy.
I
But
love
he's,
that.
and he is, but he's also, he's helps me with so much stuff, and because it's a lot. And at some point, we'll hopefully hire somebody to help us and work with us. But right now, it's just us. So it's it's a big job, but we're having kind of fun doing it together too. And
Mhm.
like I said, it's been cool for him to kind of use a different side of his brain and like and help me creatively, but also help me like keep things in line with what we need to order. And because I'm obviously more of the creative one when it comes to all this. So I have all these ideas, and then he'll be like, okay, well, we could do it this way or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
having a supportive partner in a small business is huge.
so important.
Yeah,
Yes,
so important.
so
So
important.
yeah.
So, I have some other questions for you so that our audience continues to get to know you. But, like, you know, first, I'm going to share with you the story about the
Oh,
sweatshirts,
good, good.
the LWYL.
Oh, I
You
remember now.
remember?
Yes.
So I was buying the sweatshirt for my husband because girls and guys, I want to let you know that my husband actually also wears the sweatshirt and loves it. And he and his best friend both got like we both bought them both for Father's Day. Remember?
Yes. Yep. And we sent him to Arizona, right?
Yeah, we sent them to
Yeah.
Arizona. Yeah, it
Yep.
was the whole thing. It was funny. Anyways, so you and I are talking, and then you're like, and I was like, oh, I love that it says loyal because it's like he's a dad.
Yes, I remember.
And you're like, I mean, it's like as if I could see your face.
I
You're like, that's
was like,
like LWYL, right? Like not loyal. Like that's live what you love. I'm like, oh yeah, duh.
no, but I
Like,
have to
how did
tell
I not
you,
know that?
you are not the first person to do that. People have thought it says, because it's in script and it says LWYL, and it's, like it's in script. So it almost looks like it says love, and it
Yeah.
almost looks like it says loyal. So people have done that too. And yeah, you're not the first one to do that.
Well, that
But
makes
like,
me feel better.
you were like, oh, that's cool. Okay, well, that works too. That's good.
Exactly. It's all good. Yeah, I got it. It's all good. Well, I hear that
Uh,
somebody's at my door. I want to ask you a question. You can start. This is how
okay.
professional you are. Uh, uh, I'm going to ask you a question. You can start. I'm going to quickly open the door and then
Yeah.
I'll be right back. So,
Okay.
my question for you is for those entrepreneurial women that are out there that are looking to want to start something, what would you say to them? And then the second question of that is, have you ever said no to an
Well, okay.
opportunity?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay. So I'll start talking. You go answer your door. Okay. Perfect. So I think my advice would just be oh, that was fast.
I'm back. My housekeeper heard the door.
um, I think my advice is to, it's kind of what we've been saying is to like think with your heart. And the reason I think this is working is because it's happened organically, because it comes from my heart. So I think when you're doing things, like, let your gut tell you where to go, let that inner voice in you tell you where to go, and not talk you out of it either, because that's our biggest, that's our, in our ear, that person telling you, oh, you can't do that, well, that's a dumb idea, well, why would anyone want that, why would, and if you listen to that voice all day, like, you just need to, like, move forward and move through that. And I think, um believe in yourself, believe in
Mhm.
yourself, like, have confidence. Like, I have a ton of confidence in what I'm doing, um because I'm excited about it, and I think that shows, like you've said. And I'm so happy that you say that, because it's truly, this is like my true passion, and I think that will show. You just have to believe in yourself. So I think that would be, um my biggest piece of advice, is to believe in yourself, and to not listen to that inner voice that talks you out of things, and
Yeah,
to
I think
not overthink everything.
yeah, I think that's such a great thing. Like, I run these women's groups too, and it's really about getting them on the path. It's about, going from the path to the pavement, like, so it's like you might be on the dirt road, but actually, like, putting it on the pavement is a different
Yeah.
story. And I
Yeah.
think that it's about not stopping yourself,
Yeah.
because if we stop ourselves every time we want to do something, we go nowhere. And
Yeah.
action is a
We
part.
get in our own way, right?
Yes, exactly. Action is a part. It's funny. I was just listening to a meditation this morning. It was actually a TED talk, but it was about that. It was about, like, not getting in our own way and actually allowing to flow. But it was like the neurological components of it. Super
Mm,
interesting.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to put it on my story. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Fascinating.
I would say also just, you know, tell me, so a lot of times what happens is, in what we do, is that people are presented with opportunities, and you can hear the sign or see the sign. You can choose to move forward or not. And in addition, you can choose not to take the opportunity. But has there been a time for you that you look back and you say, wow, I really wish I did that. I don't know why I didn't do it.
Mm. You know, nothing sticks out right now, and I guess that's a good thing. I mean, I'm sure there's been times where I haven't done something and I wish I would have, but I think, yeah, that's a great question. I'd have to think about it. I mean, nothing really stands out right now as far as, like, a missed opportunity or
Mhm.
something like that.
That is a good thing, though. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, that means you have no regrets, likely, or they're not at the forefront of your mind. You may have,
Right,
like, let it
right,
go. But
right.
secondly, I think it also means it's that, there's a time to say no and there's times to say yes, you know?
Yeah.
And, for women, a lot of times, some women have such a hard time saying no. They say yes to everything.
Well, and I will say I am a yes person. I
Mhm,
100% am a yes person, and my husband will tell me, you have got to start saying no to people, because I
mhm,
I am a pleaser too.
mhm.
I mean,
That's
and
another
I'll
one
be
to
like,
talk
"Oh,
about.
I can do that for you." And as, my business is growing too, and, like, stuff with social media, people will be like, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do this?" And I'll be like, "Yes, yes, yes, yeah," and I'm like,
Exactly.
"Okay," but I also need to stay true to myself.
Mhm,
And I need to only talk about things, and I think this is where, like, I felt good about, like, the whole social media thing too, is I don't just, like, promote something on my social media because someone asks me to do it. Like, I truly have to believe in something, right? But I feel like a lot of people are starting to ask me for different things, and at some point you need to just feel comfortable saying no. So I've started to say, like, I'm very busy at this point, and I can't do that at this time, or whatever, So, but it is hard for a lot of us women to say no to
mhm.
people.
Well, setting boundaries, if you're a pleaser, is very tough,
Yeah.
right? And that goes back into, and not in a self-serving way, but more in a way of, like, asking yourself the question, how does this serve me? How does this serve my family?
Yes.
And where is the boundary? Like, where's the
Yeah.
line? Because I think with people like you or me who attract people, we're it's easy for us to make friends.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that, we're never lonely or something like that, but it's like
Right.
it's easy for us to make friends, that sometimes we have to ask the question, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing now?
Right.
And
I might need a separate coaching session on all this.
yeah, exactly. Sure. I'm like, yeah, definitely. So yeah, so I am so grateful for this time, and I want to make sure that we also address anything specific that we could be doing to help. This is about a reciprocation, right? So how do we help your business move forward? And is there anything specific? I mean, like, where do we go for your website? Like, is there a specific part of your line that you really just love and you would love for people to buy deeper into? Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Well, you have been so supportive of me. I can't thank you enough.
Stop.
Yeah, no, you've been so sweet, and honestly, I cannot thank you enough for your support, and it truly means so much to me. When people say that, I keep seeing that small business owners do a happy dance every time they get an order. It's true. Like
So
you
true.
truly get excited every time you get an order. Um,
Feel the same
no,
way.
I think for me, I think it's just kind of fun. You can kind of watch out for what I'm doing or who I'm supporting. I kind of switch it up every couple months. In January, I'm excited about my donation partner. I'll announce that in January. And you can see who we're supporting. So $5 from every purchase goes to a women's charity. I've got some really fun things planned for Valentine's Day, which I cannot wait to share. Some new
Excited.
styles and sweatshirts and just cozy stuff. I've got new drinkware coming today.
Ooh, I
I,
love
yeah,
that.
the drinkware is so fun.
That is
happen to.
not, I have not quite yet purchased my drinkware, but I was hoping
Oh,
that maybe Christine is
well,
purchasing for Christmas
this
for me.
this is cool too. This is this company called Mir. It's
Ooh, okay.
MIIR that I partnered with, and they I don't here, I'll show you on this because otherwise my coffee will spill. But they have a give code on the bottom of each item,
Oh, cool.
and they do clean water projects all over the world.
Oh, I
And
love
so
that.
you can enter your give code and you can see what project your purchase supported.
Oh, very cool.
And they
Where are they
keep
located?
I think they're in Seattle.
Okay.
I think that's where they are. But they are an awesome company, and like if you put an ice cube in your water bottle or your tumbler, you'll still have an ice cube in the morning. That's how
Oh,
cool
I
it is.
love that. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for
So
letting me know. Now I'm
yeah,
gonna make my purchase of my water bottle.
yeah. So the drinkware is awesome. I just got more of my bracelets, which you have on, which I love, and these mean so much to me.
Love it so much.
Oh, I love it. My these are all handmade in Tanzania. At the Boys and Girls Club there. I have it
That's
on my
good to know.
website, the name of it.
I didn't know
But
that. How do
yeah.
you source? How are you sourcing your manufacturers?
So these are my dear
That's a
friend
whole
Abby.
job.
Yeah. So my dear friend Abby Alley has a company, and everything is ethically made. She works with a lot of artisans in Africa, so she sources these for me. These bracelets. I just love her. Abby Alley is her website. She's awesome. She does such beautiful leathers and
Mm,
handbags and things like that. And Mirror, my husband and I just saw them and fell in love with the company, and we're like, we want to keep aligning ourselves with people that do things like that and give back. So
exactly.
and with these purchases too, you're still doing $5 to whatever we're supporting, so it's kind of a double give. And we just manufactured our own hats. We're working with somebody,
I
so that's
love
been
the
kind of
hat.
fun. Yeah, so that's kind of the first item that we have, House of Shan, on the tag. So that's been really cool. And yeah, so just a lot of fun stuff. You can kind of check it out. It's at houseofshan.com, and my handle on Instagram is House of Shan.
Yeah. So what I would say to all of our amazing viewers out there is that this woman is not unlike so many of the other women who have come on board. She has an inspiring message to share with us all, and we are so blessed that we get to hear messages like this from people that are just moving into what their passions are and making them a reality. And she's got amazing product that we can all then resonate with. We all know that, like, wearing things that resonate with you help you manifest better. So it's an amazing opportunity for us all. So again, Shannon, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to following along with your journey and continuing seeing you so successful.
Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it. So much fun being here today and talking to you. My new friend.
Yes, I'm going to stop the recording. Hold on one second. Yeah, your new best friend.
Yeah.